200 people were seated in NBC Studio 4. The studio lights were on, cameras were ready, live broadcast would begin in 3 minutes. Dean Martin stood backstage, adjusting his tuxedo, doing final checks with the stage manager. Same routine every Tuesday night. It was fall 1968, and The Dean Martin Show was one of America's most watched programs. But tonight would be different. Because backstage, in the corridor, invisible to the cameras, the new producer, Richard Kellerman, was about to end 12 people's careers. And Dean didn't know yet. Kellerman had arrived at NBC 3 weeks ago. From the New York office, young, ambitious, MBA graduate. "I'm going to increase efficiency," he'd said in the first meeting. "I'm going to cut unnecessary expenses." NBC management had applauded. Kellerman's first task was to review the Dean Martin Show's budget. And he thought he'd found the problem. The crew was too large. 3 camera operators, 2 sound technicians, 1 stage manager, 2 makeup artists, 2 wardrobe supervisors, 1 lighting director, 1 stage coordinator, 12 people total. Kellerman did the math. "We can reduce this to 8, $150,000 savings per year." His assistant asked, "But Mr. Kellerman, this crew has worked with Dean for 15 years, since the Matt Helm films?" Kellerman cut him off. "Sentimentality isn't business. Numbers are business." That Tuesday morning, Kellerman called Dean's production coordinator, Sam Watkins, to his office. Sam was 58 years old. He'd worked with Dean since 1953, since the Martin and Lewis days. 15 years, thousands of shows. He knew the timing of every song, the rhythm of every joke, every stage transition. Kellerman put the file on the desk. "Sam, we're letting you go." Sam froze. "I'm sorry?" "You and 11 others. Budget cuts. Friday is your last day." "Richard, I'm the production coordinator of this show. Without me, we'll bring someone in to replace you. 30 years old, half the salary." Sam's hands trembled. "Dean doesn't know. Dean will understand. This is business." Sam left the office, stood in the corridor, couldn't breathe. 15 years, 1 job, 1 person, Dean Martin. Now in 3 days he'd be going home. What would he tell his family? It was noon. Rehearsal time. Dean arrived at the studio. Same as always, relaxed, smiling, greeting everyone. "Hey Charlie," he said to the camera operator. "How are the kids?" "Good, Dean. The little one passed his math test." "Great. Tell him his uncle is proud." He went to the makeup room. Linda was there. 53 years old. Had done Dean's makeup for 14 years. "Good morning, Dean." "Good morning, Linda. Can you make me handsome today?" "Very difficult task, but I'll try." They laughed. Same joke every week. Linda picked up the brush, but her hands were shaking. Dean noticed. "Something wrong?" No, nothing." But Linda was barely holding back tears. She'd be fired Friday, after 14 years, without any explanation. It was 5 p.m., 3 hours until live broadcast. Dean was in the wardrobe room when stage manager Tony entered. Tony was 61 years old, World War II veteran, had fought in the Pacific. When he returned, he'd found work in Hollywood. Met Dean in 1954. Been with him at every show since. "Dean, I need to tell you something." Dean turned while tying his tie. Saw Tony's face. "What happened?" Tony sat down, clasped his hands together. "The new producer, Kellerman, he's letting us go." "Who's he letting go?" "Me, Sam, Linda, Charlie, all of us. 12 people. Friday's the last day." Dean's hand stopped in midair. The tie was half-tied. "What did you say?" "Budget cuts," he said. "The crew is too large. He's firing us and bringing in cheaper kids." Dean said nothing. 5 seconds. Just looked at Tony. Then slowly asked, "He told you this?" "He told Sam. Sam told us. Didn't want us talking to you. Said, 'Don't bother Mr. Martin.'" Dean's jaw tightened. "Where is he now?" "Upstairs. In his office." Dean stood up. His tie was still half-tied. He didn't care. "Tony, you and the others wait downstairs. Don't go anywhere." "Dean, you're not going anywhere. Understood?" Tony nodded. Dean left the room. Kellerman was in his office, on the phone, discussing next week's budget. The door opened. Dean Martin walked in. Kellerman hung up, stood up, smiled. "Mr. Martin, good to see. You're firing my crew." The smile froze. "Ah, you heard." "Yes, unfortunately, the budget. You're firing people who've worked with me for 15 years, without asking me. Mr. Martin, understand? This is a business decision. NBC? Fuck NBC. Kellerman stepped back. Dean never cursed. "Mr. Martin, who are you?" How many weeks have you been here?" 3 weeks, but 3 weeks. And you think you know who these people are? What they do? What they mean to me after being here 15 years? Mr. Martin, I'm just... Charlie, do you know what he does? He's not just a cameraman. He knows the light. He knows which angle makes my face look better. He knows which shot needs me to smile. He's known for 15 years because he's been doing it for 15 years. Dean took a step forward. Do you know Sam? Sam's not just a coordinator. He knows timing. If a song runs 3 minutes 42 seconds, he adjusts the commercial break accordingly. The tape always ends at exactly 60 minutes. Never over, never under. Sam does that. Kellerman leaned back. Do you know Linda? Linda changes makeup based on camera angles. If it's warm lighting, she adjusts the tones. If it's cold lighting, she uses different techniques. It takes 10 years to learn that. You fire her and bring in someone 25 years old, I'll look terrible on screen. Mr. Martin, I'm sure. You're not sure. Dean's voice had risen. For the first time, people in the corridor stopped, wondered what was happening inside. Dean continued, his voice calm again, but steel underneath. You came here with your numbers, your MBA degree, your PowerPoint presentation, and you told me I'm going to increase efficiency. Yes, and... But you don't understand one thing. This show doesn't run on numbers. It runs on people, on trust, on 15 years of trust. Kellerman sat down at his desk, folded his hands. Mr. Martin, I understand your emotional attachment, but not emotional, practical. You fire those people, the show drops, quality drops, ratings drop, and NBC doesn't save its money anyway. I disagree. You don't have to agree, because I'm going to tell you something now. Dean leaned over the desk. Either those 12 people stay, or I don't do the show. Tonight's canceled, next week's canceled, every week's canceled, until you reverse that decision. Silence. Kellerman looked at Dean. Was he joking? He wasn't. Mr. Martin, you can't do this. You have a contract. Look at my contract. It says artist has creative control rights. I want creative control, and I say these people stay. This isn't creative. This is a budget decision. It affects my creativity, so it's creative. Kellerman stood up. His face was red. Are you threatening me? No, I'm giving you options, either them or me. NBC can't afford to lose you. Dean turned toward the door, stopped. Without looking back, he spoke. Then you've made your choice. Live broadcast is in 3 hours, but I'm not doing it. 200 audience members are waiting downstairs. Tell them why the show's canceled. Tell them budget cuts to fire 12 people were worth losing Dean Martin. He opened the door. Kellerman shouted, Wait! Are you crazy? Those people are downstairs. There's a live audience. Advertisers. Dean turned. His face was calm. I know. And they're all waiting for your decision. He left. It was 5:45 p.m. Dean went downstairs. The crew was there. Everyone was anxious. Sam asked, Dean, what happened? Go upstairs. Get ready. We're doing the show. But Kellerman? Kellerman's not a problem. Linda was crying. Dean, you'll lose everything. You can't risk the show for us. Dean held Linda's hand. Linda, you've come here every Tuesday morning for 14 years. Never called in sick once. Even when your kid had the flu, you came. When your daughter's graduation fell on the same day, you said for Dean and came anyway. Linda bowed her head. You did that because it's not just work. It's family, and in a family, you don't leave anyone behind. Charlie, the cameraman, spoke. Dean, you? No, listen, all of you. This show isn't me. This show is us. The show can exist without me. They'll bring in another singer. But without you, I'm nothing. Because I learned what's funny, what's timed right, what looks right from you. Tony stood up. The 61-year-old war veteran was crying. No star has ever treated us like this. Because I'm not a star. I'm your friend. It was 6:30 p.m. Kellerman was still in his office, on the phone with NBC New York. No, sir. Yes, sir. He must be bluffing. He can't do this. His assistant came in. Mr. Kellerman? Not now. But, sir, the studio? Kellerman hung up. What? Dean Martin isn't on stage with 30 minutes until broadcast. The audience is seated waiting. Cameras are ready. But Dean's in his dressing room. Doors locked. Kellerman's face went white. What do you mean locked? He won't open the door. Sam called, the producers called. He's not answering. Oh God. Kellerman ran outside. In Studio 4, 200 people were seated. They'd all bought tickets, some months ago. Some had come from other states. To watch the Dean Martin show live. It was 6:50 p.m. Broadcast would start in 10 minutes. But Dean wasn't there. The stage was empty. The band was in place, but not playing. The audience was whispering. What's happening? Where's Dean? Is there a delay? Kellerman came backstage. Running, found Sam. Where's Dean? Sam pointed. Dressing room. Kellerman ran there, knocked on the door. Mr. Martin, we're on air in 10 minutes. No answer. Mr. Martin, open this door. Silence. Kellerman turned to Sam. Break down the door. Sam shook his head. No. What? Dean doesn't want it. I'm not breaking down the door. Kellerman's hand was trembling. He called NBC New York again. Sir, the situation is bad. Dean's in the room. Won't come out. Yes, sir. The show might be canceled. In the corridor, the crew had gathered. Charlie, Linda, Tony, all of them. All waiting silently. Kellerman hung up, turned to look at them, and in that moment, he understood. This was a war, and Dean was winning. It was 6:55 p.m. 5 minutes to go. In the studio, the lights had dimmed. The audience was getting restless. Is there a problem? Is Dean sick? Kellerman was sweating. His shirt was soaked. He ran to Dean's door, pounded on it. Mr. Martin, please. The audience is waiting. The advertisers. NBC? The door opened. Dean was there. His suit was perfect. Makeup in place. Tie tied. As if nothing had happened. Kellerman was out of breath. Mr. Martin, we're on air in 5 minutes. Dean looked at him. Calm. I know. Then, why? I told you 3 hours ago. Either them or me. Kellerman's voice cracked. You can't do what you want. Your contract? My contract says creative control is mine. And I want those 12 people. This is insane. Dean took a step forward, looked into Kellerman's eyes, and slowly, very slowly, spoke. Richard, you came here and played with numbers. But numbers don't see people. You don't know Linda hasn't called in sick once in 14 years. You don't know Charlie's kids' names. You don't know Tony fought in the Pacific and risked his life for this country. Kellerman stepped back. You only saw $150,000 savings. But you know what I see? Kellerman couldn't answer. I see 15 years of loyalty, 15 years of trust, 15 years of family. And you call that unnecessary expense. Kellerman's voice was a whisper. What do you want? Go upstairs. Reverse it all. 12 people, all staying, same salaries, same positions, and never, ever touch my crew again without talking to me. But the budget, fuck the budget. Everyone in the corridor turned. Dean Martin had cursed for the second time. You're going upstairs now. You're calling New York, and you're going to say, I made a mistake. The 12 people are staying. Or I'm going on that stage right now, in front of 200 people, and I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, there's no show tonight. Why? Because our new producer, Richard Kellerman, fired 12 people who've worked with me for 15 years. He fired my family to save money, and I don't work without family. Silence. Kellerman's face was white as a sheet. You wouldn't. Try me. Dean turned toward the stage. Kellerman screamed, Stop! Dean stopped. Kellerman's voice was shaking. They stay. All of them. I promise. Dean turned. Go upstairs. Now. Pick up the phone. Call New York. Cancel the decision. Kellerman nodded. Ran upstairs. It was 7 p.m. The music started. The spotlight came on. The announcer took the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, NBC presents The Dean Martin Show. The audience applauded. The curtain opened. Dean Martin walked onto the stage. He was smiling. That relaxed, famous, as if nothing happened smile. Good evening, folks. How are you? Applause. Sorry for the delay. We had a little administrative issue backstage, but everything's fine now. At the back of the studio, invisible to the cameras, the crew stood. Charlie, Linda, Tony, Sam, all of them, all crying. Dean began to sing. Everybody loves somebody. Sometimes his voice was perfect, his timing flawless. The lights were right, the cameras were at the right angles, because 15 years of experience was on that stage. 15 years of family was on that stage. And Dean Martin hadn't left them behind. The show ended. The audience gave a standing ovation. No one knew the truth about tonight. Dean came backstage. The crew was waiting. Sam stepped forward, couldn't speak. Just hugged Dean, then Linda, then Charlie, then Tony, all of them. Dean didn't say anything, just held them. The next day, NBC's New York office issued a statement. Mr. Richard Kellerman has resigned for personal reasons. His replacement. No one asked for details. Everyone knew what happened. Dean Martin had stopped the show, and NBC couldn't afford to lose him. 2 weeks later, Dean came to the studio. Same as always. Hey, Charlie, how are the kids? Good, Dean. Hey, Linda, can you make me handsome today? Very difficult, but I'll try. Everything was normal, as if nothing had happened, but everyone on the crew knew. That night, Dean Martin had fought for them, and won. Years later, in 1983, the Dean Martin Show ended. In the final episode, Dean gave a speech. We've done this show for 15 years, and I want to thank you, not just for watching, but for what you let me watch. He paused, looked at the studio. Charlie was still on camera. 30 years now. Linda was still in makeup. 29 years. Tony wasn't stage manager anymore. He'd gotten old, but he was there. He'd come to watch. Sam was still coordinator. 30 years. But the real thanks goes to these people, Dean said, gesturing to the crew. Without them, I'm nothing. They're my family, and I never leave family behind. The studio gave a standing ovation. No one mentioned that night in 1968. But everyone knew. Richard Kellerman never worked in TV again. He was known as the man who lost Dean Martin. His career was over. Dean Martin never mentioned that night in any interview. When asked, he simply said, "You fight for your family. There's no other choice." That was the night, 1968, NBC Studio 4. Dean Martin stopped the show, saved his crew, and no one forgot it. Because real power isn't shouting. Real power is saying no and standing behind it until the end. Dean Martin did that, and history proved him right.